Hey everyone, and welcome to the Perfect Bite podcast, your fusion of food and entrepreneurship. You'll hear stories from chefs, restaurateurs, CPG brands, and more from the food and bev industry. All of them are at different points in their journeys, talking about their experiences and how they've cooked up something new. Let's dig in. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. You know how other countries have the coolest potato chip flavors? Something wacky but delicious, making it easy to transport yourself to a new locale? Thanks to local-style potato chips, you now can have Chicago's most iconic dishes, from Italian beef to Chicago hot dogs and more, all in snackable form. Oh, and Laura's already got the examples here. Thank you. And really, it's a lot easier than ordering a deep dish every week. I cannot wait to chat Chicago flavors, potatoes, because who doesn't love potatoes, and hometown pride with today's guest. Please welcome founder of Local Style, Laura Gardner. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for your time and for answering my DM. I'm shooting my shot with guests these days. I'm like, you have the coolest thing going on right now. Let's talk.
Well, you said food and entrepreneurship, and my ears perked up. I was like, yes, please.
Yes, please. And again, you have created these amazing chips. Cannot wait to talk about the whole process, how you fell in love with CPG, and something that is just so special and really shows off Chicago in its best form, which as Midwesterners, we love a potato. So you just knew what to do.
We sure do. We sure do. We love potatoes. We love fried things, and we love our food.
Yes, we do. Well, speaking of, I always like to take things back to the beginning here. When did you first fall in love with food, and what was food like when you were a kid? What were your favorite foods? What was cooking like at your house growing up? And, really, what were those moments like?
Oh, what a good question. Kind of brings me back to the block. So I grew up outside of Detroit in Clarkston, Michigan, and a special relationship with food for me came from my grandmother. So when I was 10 years old, my grandma moved across the street from me. So I had these really formative years growing up right near her. Her house was the first stop when I'd get home from school. I'd stop into grandma's. And she would sometimes have like cookies, those like old windmill cookies, if you remember those, or homemade chocolate chips. But the best days were when she had better made potato chips. And so my grandma and I would sit there, we'd share a big ceramic bowl of the yellow bag of Better Made, which for those who don't know is like a very Detroit beloved potato chip brand. And we would just chat about the day. We'd cover all the ground. And those were some really memorable, special times for me. And food has that transformative power to just bring people together, to create connection. And I love that the simplicity of a potato chip is something that can do that. You don't need a big fancy spread. You just need a bowl of chips and good company.
Yes, you said that, and it took me back. I mean, not back, but even to family holidays today. Like, if we get together on my grandparents' farm and have a barbecue, then yeah, there's going to be a giant, like you said, ceramic bowl of potato chips somewhere in the room. That is a staple. Or if you think about movie nights with your girlfriends growing up, just something that you can say this is a good comfort food moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So true.
So, you fell in love with chips as a kid. We do know that through line, but tell us a little bit more about your career journey to Local Style. What really brought you here today? What were you studying at school? You just mentioned that you went to Miami of Ohio University, so you came out to the heart of America here in Ohio. What led you down this path towards the chips?
Yeah, I'm such a Midwest kid, grew up in Michigan, went to school in Ohio. After school, moved to Chicago, married a guy who was born in Wisconsin from Minnesota. So I feel like all the Midwest states are just fully covered in my life. And I love it. It's, Midwest is best.
Yes.
So my journey, I did go to undergrad at Miami of Ohio. When I moved to Chicago, I went to business school part-time while working. And my corporate career, I spent 20 years working at these giant consumer packaged goods companies. So I started my career at Procter Gamble working on the Tide brand, and across their wide portfolio, they sell everything from cosmetics to paper towels to diapers and so many different things in between. So really got my start in my career and my love for consumer focused innovation at Procter Gamble. And then after grad school, after P&G, that's when I joined PepsiCo, and I spent 12 years working on mostly the Gatorade business, pretty much Pepsi's beverage side of their business. But I was the Gatorade global brand director. I worked on the Propel water business and turned that business around. So had a lot of beverage focus, and then always had inside me this entrepreneurial, like just like quietly beating, saying like, Laura, you should really start your own business. Like you should go for it. But I had these great jobs, and it wasn't until I left Pepsi to join like a bougie convenience store that went out of business 9 months later. So it was a very short run.
Yeah.
And that moment, that kind of layoff moment, you know, you have a job one day, you don't have a job the next day, no severance, you're just sort of like there to figure it out. It really was that moment, that seminal, like the universe, like the clouds parting and saying like, Laura, if you've ever wanted to start your own business, this is the moment. Yeah. And I think that was a really powerful point in time because I didn't have the distraction of a corporate job. I'm also a parent. So to have a full-time job plus parenting, like there just wasn't space in my day, like literally out of hours to have a side hustle or start up something entrepreneurial. And so when the deck was cleared, Local Style Chips was born, and it took about 1 year to get the idea up and running. And once we did, we were off to the races.
I feel like that's so short in the grand scheme of things.
It is short, but here's what I'll say. And this is kind of, you know, if anyone's listening, like later in their career journey, thinking about entrepreneurship, I'm so happy that I started this business in my 40s versus my 20s. If I imagine what me starting a company would have looked like in my 20s, you get kind of that like image in your mind that society plants there of like, yes, you know, the hackathon houses and like burning the midnight oil and just like the grind culture of entrepreneurship in your 20s. And that's not even possible in your 40s because you have all these adult realities. But what you gained is decades of experience and decades of foundational, like maybe it's domain knowledge in the field that you want to start your entrepreneurial venture in, or maybe it's just good judgment that develops over the course of becoming an adult. But regardless, you put all that together. And I'm so happy that I started this business at the moment that I am starting it, because you mentioned, hey, that 1 year to get it off the ground, that doesn't sound very long. But you already kind of know what you're doing when you're 40 and you've worked in this business for 20 years. You know, I had the background of how to commercialize a product. I had supplier relationships and an understanding of how to think about making a potato chip and putting it in a bag and making it flavored. Like I had experience and knowledge of how to make that happen, where 20-year-old me, no clue, would have just been a bumper car running into walls left and right.
And as someone who did try to start something, or I did start something in my mid-20s, I can tell you, I so admire the folks who, like you said, start a little bit late, 30s, 40s, 50s, because like you said, there's that just sense of maturity, understanding, life experience that also is such a huge help. And like you said, those relationships are just unparalleled. And you've had the time to build that up and that knowledge. So that makes a lot of sense. So you should feel really proud anyway, just 1 year of like balls to the wall. We're going to do it. So again, you fell in love with chips as a kid. What was the moment when you were like, okay, yes, I am going to start my own business? And I'm glad that it was coming at you for a while. You were saying it's time to do my own thing. What was really then the aha moment for Local Style itself, and why the chips?
I had this dormant memory in my mind. My husband and I went to Japan for our honeymoon. And while we were there, I mean, Japan is such, you're just complete fish out of water in so many ways coming from the US. The culture is very different. The language is so different. The food is so different. Just the feel of walking around the streets feels so different. And no surprise, the snack aisle looked different. So we're swinging by convenience stores. We're getting our egg sandwiches from 7-Eleven, but we couldn't help but head turn to the chip aisle. And we're picking up matcha flavored chips and seaweed flavored chips and Kobe beef flavored chips. And it was just such a celebration of Japanese food and Japanese local flavor on such a fun, convenient, like take me anywhere, eat me with a egg sandwich type of snack. And so the idea sparked there where it's like, wait a minute, Chicago has the best food in the world. Like, why don't we have this? Why don't we have our flavors in a snack format, in a really like fun and easy way to eat and share and enjoy? And so that was the spark, but that was years ago. I mean, we got married in 2018 and I had these really fun corporate jobs and we were working on great brands and working with great teams of people. And so I just didn't have the time to pursue it. So it just sort of sat there, just a memory kind of locked in the vault. And it wasn't until I was working for a convenience store and had the opportunity to work for a company that really took pride in local, right? So I had all this background working for big CPG that celebrated mass products. Like you wanted to launch something and you wanted not just people in America to love what you were doing, but you wanted it to transcend. You wanted global hits. That was really what Procter Gamble and PepsiCo were in the business of creating. And then when I joined a company that really treasured and here local, I think it was a moment for those two experiences to sort of fuse together. And all my knowledge of creating innovation that lands with a target market and then thinking about that on a local level. And then when I got laid off, it was just this confluence of factors where it was like, okay, I'm meeting this moment. I have the opportunity to chart a career path forward. There's no corporate ladder to climb. There's no career direction I get to choose. And it was my moment to really step into the entrepreneurial arena and say, I'm going to play. All right, I'm going to show up and I'm going to bring this idea forward. And I think Chicago's going to like it. I do. I think we can create a platform of Chicago's famous foods celebrated on a kettle cooked potato chip in a way that's really fun and takes a boring category. I think a very boring category. All the potato chip brands, they have the same flavors. It's all classic and salt and vinegar and barbecue. And the package is everything kind of looks like it's maybe from a farm or whatever. And we wanted to bring some energy. I wanted to bring some life and emotion to this category. And so on April 3rd, 2025, I rented a U-Haul, loaded up with our 5 flavors and delivered product to 12 of our favorite markets and delis around Chicago. And these are beloved spots. I've lived all over the city. So I lived in the West Loop. So we're hitting JP Graziano's and Publican and Goddess and the Grocer and Beatrix and, you know, up in Lincoln Park, North Buena Deli and such like a neighborhood treasure right there on Armitage. And so these were the types of places that we dropped off 12 locations on April 3rd. And that was the spark that just like lit the flame. And here we are 4.5 months later, we're in over 140 locations around the city. And we're in like notable, beloved, like Chicago landmarks, like the Chicago Art Institute and the Chicago History Museum. We were just introduced at Soldier Field for preseason with the Bears, which is unreal. We're roaming up and down the river on the Chicago architecture boat cruises. We're in a handful of like the notable hotels around the city, like the Four Seasons and the St. Regis and the Langham. And we continue, you know, like a very important element of this business is being part of the neighborhood. So we continue to open up new corner stores, new delis, new markets, all those things that make up the fabric of a city every single day, introducing our product to new Chicagoans all over. So it's been a ride. It's been an amazing 4.5 months. And we're just so grateful for the response from the city. And it's no surprise Chicago knows how to show up.
I had no idea it was only 4.5 months. You've exploded in that time. Truly
wild, Sarah.
That is,
really
I am truly, like, I'm so happy for you and proud of you and like just so excited that there is a food brand again in Chicago that just blew up right away. I mean, so many little questions behind your story here. Again, it's really interesting that you had this global perspective, right? Not just from travel, but also work you were doing. And I definitely understand. It's almost like your entrepreneurial self was bringing you to that certain convenience store and brand. And they were known for supporting local. And so the fact that you said, okay, this is a tough moment, but I'm going to turn it around, I think just shows to your character. And again, the universe has been putting just all of these things in place for you. It was just time to grab them. I mean, I'm just blown away. This is so cool. And Chicagoans, I like that it is potato chip form because all of the foods that you have flavors behind, giardiniera, Italian beef, hot dog, deep dish, your classic salted as well. We also all have really big opinions about how each of those things should be eaten, presented, how hot is your jarred, how saucy is your deep dish, how wet is your Italian beef sandwich. And so
Yes.
you kind of democratized something that can be quite a debatable subject in good old Chi-Town.
I was going to comment on that because food is such a source of who we are in the city. And you're right. Like the route debate around like who makes the best deep dish or who serves up the best Italian beef. This is what makes Chicago, Chicago. I think that we wanted to create something that was for every Chicagoan and we wanted to celebrate the flavor for everyone. So we just are looking to celebrate the city. We're looking to celebrate every Chicagoan, every visitor here. And You're right. I do think in some ways we are like making this food very accessible. Maybe on a trip to Chicago, you can't hit every single pizza shop, beef shop, hot dog stand, pick up a jar of giardiniera. Like that might not be on your 5-day plan here, but you can grab a bag of each flavor and hey, you can even bring it home for your family. So
yes, again, packable. Because again, as someone who's never heard of giardiniera, that's something tough to travel with too. And so you took one of the three things that we're good about debating, food, architecture, and sports. And again, put it in everyone's hands. I love you're at the Art Institute. Again, these moments that people know from their favorite movies and they're coming to Chicago. Maybe it's the first time, maybe it's their 100th time. And they feel like they can take that piece home with them. So speaking of, what was creating that seasoning blend like for you? And then what were your steps as you were saying, okay, how am I going to find the right co-packer here? Maybe there's a warehouse, things along those lines so that you could get ready for that first day when you hit all the delis.
yeah, great question. So I have found, and if there are any like food entrepreneurs listening, I will say don't be afraid to make that first phone call because what I found is I spoke and called a lot of chip manufacturers that just weren't the right fit, but they were very open to passing a name along, right? And so I think that people genuinely want to help, especially when you have a vision, you have a dream, people are on your team and they're rooting for you, right? That's kind of like the come from. And when I put myself in that mindset, making a cold call to a new supplier, like all of a sudden feels less scary. And so for me, that's how it went. It was basically just one person handed me to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. And finally, I found a great fit. And then the bag, the chips, the seasoning, all of that, I really wanted to, again, celebrate Chicago. So trying to bring partners to the table that are in the radius of our city, right? And being able to give that business and support the local economy and have this be a little bit of a way to support the city and through commerce as well. And so that's how our supplier network really was selected and chosen. And that was important to us getting off the ground.
Amazing. And you have a whole other element here of local, hyper localized to your own home. You work with your husband on this, don't you?
Oh, I sure do, Sarah. Everyone always wants to know, how is it working with your husband?
Yes. And again, even if he wasn't your husband, having a co-owner or a co-founder of any business is like a marriage. You are in a legal partnership. You have to be on the exact same page of the mission, the vision, how you are going to go about these things, or else it's going to fail. I've been there. I had a bad marriage.
I joke that I'm triple married because we got married to each other. Then when you have kids, I feel like you're another level deeper. Yes. And then when you start a business together, you're another level deeper. So we're so in.
You're so in. You're like, this is so, if there's a whole other level of committed, it is doing that. I mean, you are truly partners in every sense of the word, which I love. So your husband brings more the branding side of things, correct? I know that you've also had that background as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many aspects to a brand. I think what I bring to the table is the CPG expertise and food and beverage knowledge. David brings an incredible design sense. He's had a 16-year design firm called Color Jar, and they've done some amazing things in the city of Chicago and beyond. The Navy Pier logo was done by Color Jar. So that's so cool to drive by Lakeshore and see the logo smiling at us from the center of the wheel. So they've done a lot of great things, and we were able to combine our powers on this business. And that was another, you mentioned, getting this business off the ground so quickly. I think that was another shortcut is we had literally under our roof, we had CPG expertise and design expertise, and we could just sit at the kitchen table and work it all out. And that was definitely an accelerator in our path to market. But I think what I would say about working with a spouse, for us, it's fantastic. David and I met through a work project. So I feel like we had that sort of work chemistry and rapport even before we started a romantic relationship. And so we respect each other's backgrounds, we respect each other's ideas. And so that's like, I think the core of it is you just have like a true and deep respect. And what I would say, again, being part of so many teams throughout a wonderful corporate journey and career, there's a lot of like pleasantries that one has to bring to the office that I would say David and I can just cut through the bullshit and I think it was like Jack Welch, 80s business guy, who talked about radical candor. I feel like we are living radical candor where an idea can pop up and you can just be super frank, like, we're not going to do that, or that's a bad idea. And you could just move to the next one. And you don't really have to worry about like, did I hurt his feelings or did he hurt we kind of just move forward and we respect like, oh yeah, no, you're right. That was a terrible idea. Let's do this instead. And we can shortcut the whole game, I think. So
yes,
for us,
egos are out.
Well, you know what I mean, in theory, I would say that always pops up in marriage, no matter what. But I will say from just like a pure business sense, we're just able to shoot each other straight and tell each other how we feel. And we listen to the other person. Like if someone really has putting their foot down or a strong opinion, or we should do this or we shouldn't do that, like we will listen. And I think we just have that mutual respect.
Yeah. And having a supportive partner when you say, I'm going to go full in on this project, this brand that we're going to build, it's so important. It's how my partner and I met as well through Startup Land. And when you have someone who really understands what you're going through or is willing to listen and just know that you're on this constant roller coaster of emotions every single day, then it just makes all the difference in the world.
David has had an interesting background. There's probably been 6, maybe 7 startups he's been involved with, which have just gone nowhere, like just haven't panned out.
Yeah.
And I do feel like him going through the entrepreneurship spin cycle a couple times has been very helpful, given that this is my first venture. I feel like someone asked me recently, like, what does it feel like to be a first-time entrepreneur? And I joke that every day I get the best news of my life and the worst news of my life, like in one day. And so it is this like volatility chart, like that every day you're kind of spiking and crashing and like you're up and you're down. And I think for David, that modality of life feels much more normal. And then for me, I'm learning how to work through that and how to get to the place where that feels normal and I can have the steady hand. For example, when my warehouse and delivery team calls me and tells me that they're going out of business effective immediately on the same day that Soldier Field is like, we would love to have your chips at Soldier Field. And so this is like one little day of my life. And I feel like those spikes and valleys, they're all over, right? They're just, they're there. And you're one email away from the best news or the worst news of your life. You don't know. You don't know which one's coming. Get ready.
Yes. I appreciate that David had been through that as well, because I mean, mental health is just such a big part of this journey. I hope you're finding the things that help you feel a sense of calm when you need to wind down, and that you're all taking that as a family, because it's a marathon. Again, there are not a lot of people that could get that type of news back to back and say, well, we're just going to keep going. Some people might say, this is just too much. This is too much. I'm going to go work for someone else again. No. So, I've been there.
I'm finding,
when you said that, I was like,
yeah, I'm like bringing back PTSD for other entrepreneurs.
For everyone listening,
and listeners, yes. Sorry, guys.
Wouldn't change.
But yeah, I'm finding like, I wouldn't trade it. And I am finding like how do I say this? I'm finding kind of like entrepreneurship is very executional, especially at the beginning. So I'm every department, I'm the accounting department. I am the logistics department. I am the HR department. I am the marketing department. Like every department is me. And so I'm finding this sort of like meditative rhythm to the execution, where trying to appreciate tearing down cardboard boxes in my garage to make more space for incoming product, you can like find the relaxation in that versus the annoyance, right? And it's a mindset shift. It's like, you could look at that as like, oh my gosh, this mound of boxes and so annoying and someone else should be doing this. Or you can say, this is my moment to just kind of listen to how I built this, or listen to the perfect bite and just kind of work through it, whether that's like sending out a bunch of invoices or planning a delivery route, or just cruising through all the website inquiries and getting down to inbox zero. Like all of those tasks, I'm trying to like reframe for myself as like, this is the meditation of it all. Execution is the only thing that a consumer will ever see. Your chips will not get to make someone happy if these tasks don't happen, and they matter and they're important. And entrepreneurship is strategic and bold and big, and it is also really quiet and small and detailed. And so all of it, there's beauty in all of it.
Yeah. I love how you put that. It's the mindset. You might hear this on Headspace or any other meditation apps, the switching the mindset from the I have to the I get to and I want to mentality is just so huge with most things in life. I mean, it's such a moment of gratitude that you get to have of, wow, I get to deliver this to the Art Institute and to say hi to Jim at JP's. Like, this is crazy. Right. How do you connect with distributors? I mean, you clearly went from 12 to almost 150 overnight in some senses. Are you doing a lot of pitching? Are they coming to you at this point because they're just starting to see you everywhere?
Well, Sarah, the craziest thing is we haven't actually signed on with a distributor. We're still self-distributing, meaning we are working with hired drivers and trucks on a weekly basis. And I'm accepting every single order in my inbox, logging it in my super unsophisticated Google sheet, and then
we love a sheet.
We love a sheet, and then routing the routes each week. So we do see a future where partnering with these amazing distributors who have wide reach, who can canvas Chicago, Chicagoland, the Midwest, and the nation. But I think that I'm very conscious right now, and as we make decisions of how to grow the company, Chicago gave us our start. We love the city. We love our partners here, and we want to continue to grow for Chicago and really, really make sure we're showing up for the city before we step one foot outside. And so I think that like being so geographically tight and targeted allows us to have a little bit more control over our distribution, which means I'm doing a couple deliveries a week. David's doing a couple deliveries a week. My intern is doing a couple deliveries a week, in addition to the professional drivers and trucks that we have supporting us right now. But that's really how we're piecing it together. And I think that that's going to allow us to best serve the 77 neighborhoods around Chicago and keep showing up for them. When you sign on with distributors, yes, they're a blessing for that geographical stretch, but they start to introduce things like order minimums. some of my favorite shops and partners aren't ordering hundreds and hundreds of chips each week. And I want to continue to be able to serve them because they matter to us. They matter to our business. They matter to Chicago, right? And so I want to just be very thoughtful about how we grow, when we grow. And we have this special point in time where our brand feels special. It feels like a treasure. It feels like a discovery. It feels like something you want to take and show your friends and have a tasting of, and it feels special. And cognizant that while distribution is a gift, it can also work against that specialness if it is everywhere. And so we want to be really, really thoughtful about what that path looks like. And today it means I'm doing a couple deliveries and we've got a great professional team who's showing up every week. And that's awesome.
Yeah. I would say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but your only real national quote unquote distributor, but it's a marketplace, is Here Market, correct? Macal's over there.
So great point. We do have e-commerce opportunities to get nationwide. So localstylechips.com, open 24/7. We do ship nationwide. Here Market is another great example of a partner that we love, and they're curating local goods and they're shipping them across the nation. So there are ways to get our product. We've also introduced for our wholesale customers who are out of state. We have some like amazing partners down in Nashville, Tennessee, who have like Chicago inspired delis and they love our product. Same with Texas, same with Florida. So we do have Michigan as well. We do have a patchwork quilt of partners who are selling our goods outside of the city, but we're doing that mostly through shipping. And spoiler alert, like shipping chips is kind of expensive. It's kind of like shipping air in a sense. So my hope one day is to be able to service these partners in a way where they're not having to pay so much. But for right now, as we're scaling and getting off the ground, I'm just so happy that we have a way to get our chips to them.
100%. And plus, packaging something that's so delicate like chips, the logistics alone is probably just this part of your business that you're like, I had no idea I would be doing it at this level.
Have I told you about Portillo's? I don't think I've mentioned Portillo's yet.
You have not.
Super exciting. So speaking of like national reach, we all know and love Portillo's, right? Beloved Chicago chain, the home of the Chicago hot dog, the Italian beef, a delicious burger, cheesy fries, all the things. Started in Chicago, but now has 95 locations nationwide. And for National Hot Dog Day, I mean, I still get chills telling this story, but they reached out to us and partnered with our hot dog flavor chip and sold it in all 95 locations across the nation for National Hot Dog Week. And it was so fun. It was this little buddy right here and the perfect companion to a Portillo's meal. Like, who knew it just needed a little crunch to take it to the next level?
For real.
And so that was a really, really fun partnership that sort of introduced this Chicago local chip to a much, much wider and broader audience.
Yes. And especially those places, like you said, a Chicago style or a Chicago flavored restaurant, or sending care packages to people who've moved away from Chicago or who visited. People want you to feel like there's a sense of home with Chicago wherever you go. And I imagine you were like the sales that day. You were probably like, what? Like, we were in 95 locations.
By far our biggest order to date, for sure. And, you know, just to be partnering with such a legend of Chicago food, I think was really special for the brand.
Yeah. You'll never forget these moments, even as you all continue to grow. I hope it will continue to feel just as special for you.
I need a journal. I got to write all this down.
I mean, this is why we chat on things like this. You can go back and listen to a recording. You can.
True. You're giving me the digital timestamp, Sarah. Thank you for the gift.
Your social media is also doing a great job of that too. I mean, I love how authentic your social media feels. And a lot of it is like UGC, so user generated content. Are folks just constantly tagging you? How are you getting in front of customers in that sense so that you're always in front of them?
So when we were creating the design for the product, my feedback was less about like, center that, put that here, change that color. It was much more about like, how do I feel when I hold this bag in my hand? Like, how does this make me feel? And I think we got it. I wanted to feel excited to eat it. I wanted it to look delicious. I wanted it to look fun. And I wanted it to feel like hometown pride in a bag. Like that was really the emotional brief, so to speak. And I think because we looked at it that way, like we broke a pretty big brand rule on this where like your logo, your brand logo should be the biggest, most prominent thing. Like that's an example of like, we broke that rule because hometown pride was so important to us. And the word Chicago was more important to us than our own brand because we felt like that's how we were really going to connect. And so we made choices like that. And I think that that is why social media is having so much fun with this, is because other people are feeling what we hoped and dreamed they would feel when they hold this product in their hand. They feel excited to eat it. They want to take a picture of it. It's beautiful. It's artistic.
It's adorable.
These little characters are so fun and full of personality. And, you know, our little foodie friends, our little family. And I just think it has that sort of, let me share this with you feel.
Yeah.
And so very proud of where we landed on the design.
Definitely. How did you come up with the foodies? They're all so cute. They all have a little personality. So you didn't just say deep dish pizza flavored chip, Italian beef flavored chip. It's Hot Jarred and Lucy Lou's and all of these other fun characters here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, just the 20-year career taught me all the branding rules. And then starting my own venture has been so fun because I get to break them.
Yes.
I get to step outside the framework and outside the box. And a branding rule would be like, you should make your brand name the biggest. You should make the second biggest thing your flavor. And you would never let a character be the biggest thing on the bag, right? If you had a mascot, it would be small in the corner. Think of like a Chester Cheeto. So characters aren't new and novel to the food space. You definitely see it more in the cereal aisle, but they're new and novel to the potato chip aisle in this way. And so we just broke the rule. We knew we wanted the characters to be as big as possible. That was a whole like make the character bigger and then what has to get smaller and what has to move. And that was a really fun exercise because we knew that these guys were the heroes. We knew that Hot Giardiniera and Mikey and Lucy Liu. I mean, this is part of, I mentioned we wanted a feeling from the bag. The characters give that feeling. It is connecting to a little person, a little foodie. And so the style was a big topic in the design space, probably dominated the conversation for maybe 2 months in terms of what illustration style. Look, we were working with some illustrators that were very like Simpsons-esque or, you know, kind of just had a different aesthetic altogether. And they were really cute. But what we kind of learned was like, those guys looked up to no good. We wanted the brand to still feel wholesome. Yeah. We wanted the brand to still feel very kid-friendly and family-friendly. And the style of design of these characters is called Rubber Hose, and it hails from Steamboat Willie. So your brain might not recognize it right away, but like the original kind of Walt Disney, black arms, white hands, like that's sort of where this comes from. So it has a very wholesome energy that it gives off, where some other different design styles were maybe very like pop artish or very modern. Yeah, but weren't creating like the family friendly fun that we were aiming for. So we ended up walking away from those design styles in favor of our foodies. So we're super proud of them. I've got Lucy Liu here on my t-shirt, and we've got our whole line of gear and goods that really celebrates these characters. And Lucy's named after my youngest daughter, Lucy, and Davy Dog is named after my husband, David. So we definitely personalize this in a way that feels like our fingerprints are on it.
Yes. And I've learned so much. Thank you. I didn't know that characters were put in these categories like that. Thank you. And I agree. Chips are for every age. That bag of chips would be happy in the hands of a 4-year-old or a 94-year-old. And something about the branding, like you said, too, very welcoming, very accessible. It's not too edgy, doesn't scare anyone off, so that they can say, we all are going to have a great time with these. And everyone needs to go buy the merch. It is so cute. It's just so fun.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for the shout out there.
It'll be in the show notes. Don't worry. So speaking of fashion and food, two of my favorite things, we have got to talk about your James Beard dress this year. I mean,
Let's do it.
so for folks who might be just listening in or who haven't seen this on the Local Style Instagram quite yet, Laura wore this dress made of the actual packaging of the chips, and it was stunning. James Beard is usually, you've got this combination of kind of creative black tie. I mean, you've got a fashion icon like Gregory Gourdet. He's always got something cool on, but you stood out of everyone. Tell us how that look came together, the process behind it, and really what the reaction was. How has it felt since when people really saw that moment for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, this really took on a life of its own. I have to say that the original insight really stemmed from such a relatable moment of I get invited to this incredible event and I have nothing to wear.
Yes, as usual,
like,
we've all been there.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what on earth am I going to wear to the Oscars of food, basically? And a red carpet, black tie event. You know, I'm peeking through my closet, like looking at old prom dresses in the face. And I'm like, okay, none of this will work. And then the idea just popped into my head. I mean, I love fashion. I obviously love our brand and our chips. And I just thought, like, what if? You know, it was kind of a harebrained idea out there. And I put it out on social media to get some weigh in. Like, do we think this is a good idea? Could I pull this off? Do we think that we could actually make a dress that looks suitable for this formal occasion?
Yes.
And there were so many mixed reviews. There were tons of people that were like, hell yes, you have to do it. And there were other people like, well, maybe just like a checker dress, or maybe just like a black dress with a nice, you know, like necklace with the character on it, or like earrings with the character, you know, people trying to be like, caution, dial this back, Laura, this could go very wrong. Respect all the opinions. But I felt like I had to go for it. And so what I did was I reached out to the School of the Art Institute, and they paired me with a fashion student who was enthusiastic about the project. Oh. His name is Tukey Tucker, and he is a true fashion genius. This kid is going big places. I think he just launched his own line named Tukey, but he is so ingenious with materials and shapes and how to create a whole kind of head to toe look. And so when I presented the idea to him, really, I put it in his hands. I had a very small input that I thought it would look best if we chose one color of the bag. There was a version that could have been like multicolor, technicolor, all the different flavors. But I thought it would look more formal and more uniform if we just focused on one single flavor. So that's what he did. And he created this incredible like jumpsuit with this tearaway gown part that created a reveal. And oh my gosh, I walked the red carpet. I'd never walked a red carpet before. I didn't know what that experience would be like. And of course, I'm like such a no name. And so someone walked next to me with my name on a clipboard so that the press would know who I was, because everyone else there is very notable and famous. And I am just the crazy chip lady wearing a head to toe potato chip gown. But there were different like clusters of press. And so I would stop and they'd ask me questions, and I do a little turn and reveal the jumpsuit, kind of the tearaway skirt, reveal the jumpsuit. So I walked down maybe like a 50-yard red carpet, which was a true surreal life experience that I will never forget. And I think I was so nervous to do it. Like, I'm not a person who is comfortable in that setting, and with like so many photographers and cameras pointed at me and things like that. Like, that's just a very fish out of water experience for me. So I think I was very nervous and didn't allow myself to daydream on like, well, what could the best case outcome of this be? Like, what does wearing this actually do for the brand and do for the business? And like, I don't want to make it sound like I was naive to making the most of the moment. That's why I did it. But I think I was just so nervous about it falling flat or, you know, not going anywhere. And the best case scenario came out of it where people loved it. They adored it. I mean, people were coming up and getting selfies with me. I got a photo with Andrew Zimmern and Rick Bayless, and the Chicago Tribune did a roundup of like winners of the night and put me in it, which was like, what?
Like, your best dressed.
The idea that I played a meaningful role at that event was totally wild to me. So it really exceeded all expectations. And I told my husband, I'm like, if you live longer than me, please put this photo up at my funeral. It was such a moment that I forever want to remember and felt really proud of and felt beautiful and felt proud of my brand and all the things. And so, yeah, a great memory.
You once again broke the rules and it paid off. And again, like that is fashion and food. It should make you feel good. It should make you feel confident. It should make you feel special. And I'm not shocked that it turned out well and that everyone came up to you because it was well done, like you said. I mean, the School of the Art Institute, you can't get better than those kids. Young men and women, I should say.
I shouldn't say kids. Yes. I mean, Tuki is mature beyond his years and his talent, far exceeds his student classification. He's a true professional.
Yes. And again, you guys have been on the set of The Bear as well. Local style is everywhere in Chicago. And it's just such an amazing story. It really is.
Yeah.
You're welcome. How would you say you're handling challenges that you've faced so far? Is there anything that you feel like has been a really difficult moment that you've overcome, something that you weren't expecting?
I think, okay, so this one's for the parents out there. I think it is really hard to be a working parent, full stop, and uniquely hard to be a mompreneur. Is that a word? Can I make that up? Okay.
Yes.
A mompreneur. I think that the hardest part has been the business doesn't shut off, right? Because I'm the one playing all the different roles, as we talked about. I'm every single department. So when there is a need on the business, I therefore am needed. And maybe that will change over time as if and when we're able to staff up and things like that. But for now, that's how it is. And I like to be really present with my children. I enjoy parenting. It matters to me. It's the most important thing in my life above and beyond potato chips. And so trying to find that balance of time that I'm blocking for just them, where the business isn't allowed to seep through the cracks and the email gets ignored and the text message gets ignored. I think I'm trying to find what that looks like in my life. And with corporate life, I have to say it was easier for me. There was a level of distance between what the brand or the business meant and how I would allow that to interact or interfere with my personal life.
Yeah.
I was able to carve out boundaries a little bit easier, protect my vacation time, shut the computer off at a certain moment, ignore weekend inbound. And I can't really do that right now. And so I've got this like flare of mom guilt. I've got this like boundary bleed business kind of coming into my space with my kids. And I'll just raise a hand and say, like, I need to get better at it. I'm 4.5 months in, so I'm trying to give myself some grace that, like, hey, there's a learning curve here, and any sort of mompreneur goes through this. But I'll just say I'm not crushing it right now. Like, I kind of have the, like, undercurrent of guilt carrying me through the day. And then I finally am with my kids, but then, like, an urgent email flies in, and I got to go run and do something with it. So any advice out there from the community, throw it my way. It's definitely a goal of mine this fall and into the new year, how to kind of navigate that a little bit better. But what I will say, and how I give myself grace, because that's important to do, my girls are watching me, and I know that they're proud of me, and I know that I'm teaching them soft skills about hard work. And the simple thing that you can dream something in your mind and it doesn't exist, and then you can make it so. I think that that's like, my 5-year-old will remember when the chips didn't exist, and then she'll remember when they did exist. And that difference is me. And I think I'm passing along that inspiration. So I'm trying to let myself just give myself some grace in the sense that, like, even if I'm not constantly there as much as I want to be, they're observing, and the observation matters. So, but it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think so many people can relate to you. Your kids will always come first, and you just want to be there for every moment. But like you said, not everyone gets to have a kick-ass mom and dad, supporting her and saying, go, 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 and that they get to see this come to life. And so I think at the end of the day, they'll definitely appreciate it. And they'll have those fun moments of, oh yeah, and then we were in the delivery car with mom when we were doing some weekend deliveries, and
Oh, they've done it.
yeah, and like these people know us. And I always love young kids in food and hospitality situations because they're basically like, this is my chips. This is my restaurant.
It really, trust me, it really helps that it's potato chips.
Yeah.
Because they love them, right? They're just constantly munching on a bag. Not constantly. We do have some food pyramid goals, right? But yeah, I think that they're extra happy that it's a product they can really enjoy, and it's fun.
Yes. Last few questions here before we get to the world's best and hardest question. What are some partnerships or collaborations that you want to manifest for the future? Is there anyone in Chicago that you're looking at and you're saying, I need to shoot my shot with them?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I love comedy.
You just did.
I love the genre. I love stand-up. We just did Second City. And so in that same genre, the idea that a Tina Fey and a John Mulaney and a Vince Vaughn would eat these chips and have some reaction to them would be out of this world. That would be so, so cool. So who knows? We'll just put it out there. Universe, do your thing.
Yep. Someone get Vince on the line. Okay. He's a Lake Forest guy originally. He should be supportive.
Or Jeremy Piven, there's a lot that we could pull from. So yeah, something like that. I also I travel, I walk through the hallways of O'Hare and Midway and just dream about seeing local style chips on the stands there. So I do hope one day that you can bring something else home for your kids that's not an $80 stuffed animal from O'Hare. You can grab a bag of chips and make them happy and make them feel like you brought them something special from your trip or on your way home.
Yes, I think it's going to happen. I think that's one that can definitely happen. And for the rest, someone call a Cusack. I mean, they're around.
Please. Someone's out there. Someone knows someone.
Yeah. Oh, what would you say you're most proud of so far? How do you want to continue to grow? And what do you think is next in the journey, including, I know this might be a controversial question because this brand is so Chicago through and through. The values, everything about it. But would you ever see yourself allowing local style to be played with for other cities and their personalities for future flavors?
Great question, because what I am most proud of is creating something that matters to this city.
Yeah.
This city is everything to me. It's held the keys to my career, to meeting the love of my life, to where I'm raising my family. It is home. It is such a special place. And the idea that I can give a gift back is something I'm very, very proud of. And where we go from here, it's a great question, Sarah. And we certainly have thought it, when you look at our bag design, it's modular in a sense where you could almost envision a world where Chicago's swapped with a different name and we're celebrating a different food in a different city. So it's a great question. But I have to say for right now, we're just so focused on Chicago. That is home. That is where we want to. Honestly, it's a little bit selfish too, where I'm a mom. I don't want to travel a ton. I want to be here. I want to be present for my kids. And when you're an entrepreneur, you get to make decisions like that. It's not just what's the biggest growth path. It's not just the sort of corporate return. It's what do I want this life to look like? And how do I want to show up for my family and for my city? And I think that is really the focus for today. So, yeah.
I definitely get it. And you're doing such a great job of it. And sometimes there is also that cautionary tale of sometimes you don't have to go everywhere for everyone. If you do that, then you won't actually stay true to your brand and yourself and what you really set out to do.
Sure. And I will say one of the most surprising things about this business is how powerful the Chicago flavors are outside of Chicago.
Yes.
And I shouldn't have been surprised because there's so many analogs. There's Portillo's and Lou Malnati's and Garrett's popcorn. And those famous flavors are not just stretching across the nation, but they're Garrett's is in Tokyo, right? These are global reach. But I guess just being new to the space and being a new brand, I wasn't expecting, for example, the Cannes Film Festival to reach out to me and say, we would like to carry your chips. And I thought it was like, oh, the Sultan of Brunei would like to give you $1,000,000. Like I thought it was kind of one of those calls. So I didn't think it was real. And I got on the phone with the guy to validate and check if this was a real inquiry. And it was. So at the Cannes Film Festival, they have an American tent and they welcome all the Americans who are over there. And, it's kind of a VIP tent and you can get food and drinks and kind of air conditioning and you can just chill out for a little bit. And so local style chips were served at the Cannes Film Festival this year, which is
holy cow.
So, they're reaching across seas. We have distributors from Arizona and Florida reaching out to us who want to carry the Chicago chips, right? So I do think that there is power in this city.
Yes.
We are, I believe, the best food city in the world. We are so proud of our flavors. And I really believe that our Chicago flavors have stretch.
Yes. And like you said, city of big shoulders. We are also the city of second chances. We came back from that fire, then we can come back from anything. And there's always been that sense of pride and hard work here. So you've given so many great nuggets of advice already. What would you say is probably your biggest piece of advice for someone who is starting to start their own business or get into the culinary field, really be their own entrepreneur?
So what I would say, I don't want this to sound cliche, but it might. I really believe it all comes down to self-belief. I had mentioned earlier on the show that I had this entrepreneurial kind of pulse inside me for as long as I can remember. Back to when I think about high school and college, I always wanted to start my own business. And I didn't do it because I didn't believe that I could, right? If I'm really being honest about what took me so long, that's really what took me so long. And am I grateful for my path and everything I accumulated and learned? Absolutely. But if you can find a way to calm that voice that is telling you don't have enough money, you don't have a good enough idea, you don't have enough time, you don't have whatever is in there telling you no, if you can find a way to just like quiet that little guy or gal and just take your first step and make it a small step. They say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Like, give yourself like 6 months. Be like, I'm going to check in with myself in 6 months. Make as much progress as you can. And if it's not going well, walk away. But that's how I took that voice, it's still there, by the way. Like it still pops in. But getting off the ground, my husband and I talked and he said, just do it for 6 months. Just see how far you can get on this chip business in 6 months. And then if you don't want to do it, then don't do it, but take 6 months. And so that period of time allowed me to quiet the voice in my head and just go hard and just see what I could do. And once I saw what I could do, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going back because the world needs this. We have to get this out there. I was so excited. I had so much energy around what we had started to create that at that point there was no turning back. So quiet the voice and just give yourself a short period of time to see how far you can go. That would be my advice.
Yeah, you are enough. We all have to quiet that monster. It comes in so many forms. Oh, Laura, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time, your stories, your wisdom.
Thank you, Sarah.
We are here. So to remind everyone, this is called The Perfect Bite because it's a bit of a perfect bite of our value chain of the food and bev industry and the folks we have on here. But it's also because each of us has our own perfect bite, our own unique tastes, memories that we've had with food, and something that you just can't get out of your head. So, Laura, what would you say is your perfect bite?
Oh, boy.
I know.
Well, I mean, I'm staring at my dainties here. It's got to be these guys.
It does.
The perfect bite. Local style chips, localstylechips.com. You can get them anywhere. We also have a store finder on our website. But be bold. Try something new. Try a hot dog flavored chip, an Italian beef flavored chip, a deep dish pizza chip, a hot giardiniera chip. We've got it all.
Do you have a favorite child amongst them?
Honestly, it changes on my mood. If I were eating lunch with you today, Sarah, let's see, which one would I choose? I'm going Italian beef today. That savory, little tangy Giardiniera finish. He's juicy juice. He's the one.
Juicy Juice. We love him. So as you mentioned, folks can find you at localstylechips.com, venues throughout Chicago. Do you have a store locator on the website?
We do.
Amazing. So they can buy the chips nationwide for shipping. You can go to hereheremarket.com. And then what are your social accounts to make sure that they follow all of your adventures?
At Local Style Chips on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you again, Laura. This was so much fun. And thank you everyone else for joining us. Once again, this was Laura Gardner's Perfect Bite. Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media at Perfect Bite Pod. Now go get something good to eat.